Sunday, May 23rd walking video, and I'm starting at the east side of Yonge Street and Broadway Avenue. That is looking south on Yonge, and we are going to be walking north on Yonge. So if you haven't seen the video just before this one, this is sort of, I guess, part two. I'm doing a circle, or a loop rather. I started at Centerpoint Mall at Yonge and Steeles, and then I walked along Steeles and then down Hilda and then back to Drury, and now I'm walking straight up north on Yonge. And I want to end this video to show you where I first lived for at least the first 6 weeks that I lived in Toronto when I moved here January 12th, 1989. And I lived in a basement apartment. It wasn't, I don't know if they had legal or illegal apartments back in those days, but it was a full apartment, except it didn't have the fire, you know, the fire door separating the main floor from the basement, and I lived in the basement. But it was a one bedroom, it had a living room, it had a kitchen, and it suited me fine for the 6 weeks that I lived there, until I was able to move into my first real apartment, which was on Broadway Avenue. And I do have a video pointing out my apartment that I lived at on Broadway Avenue. I lived at 3 different apartments actually on Broadway Avenue. I love that street so much. Anyway, and that Broadway Avenue video, I think, points out the apartment buildings that I lived in. They were low rises, which are now, except for one, which are now being in the midst of being torn down. So the cool thing, what happened was, the first apartment building that I lived at was 110 Imperial Manor, is what it was called. It was 110 Broadway Avenue, but the apartment building was called Imperial Manor. And right to the east of that signage on the apartment building, there was a parking sign attached. It was a yellow sign, and it said visitor parking prohibited. And a few weeks back, I walked by there, and long story short, I ended up being given that sign. The project manager that was, I guess, managing that particular area was kind enough to take it down for me and give it to me. Now, I know that's kind of a juvenile request, but I just had such good memories of that street, of that apartment building. And I do have it placed in the basement. It's in a good place, but I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it. Sort of, it's leaning on a piece of furniture against the wall, which actually looks kind of good. But I'm not sure whether to pin it over the bathroom door. Visitor parking prohibited. It's supposed to be a joke. Maybe I'm the only one that would find that funny. Anyhow, I had that sign. So I moved from the location that I'm going to show you up ahead to that Broadway Avenue location. And it's actually not far from where I currently live. It's about a 15-minute walk. It's only 15 minutes from where I now live to that Broadway Avenue location. So I often, when I have errands to do in the neighborhood, particularly to the east, like maybe along Bayview, I 99% of the time will go down Broadway Avenue, even if it's out of my way. There's a lot of construction going on at Redpath and Broadway. There is a building that is almost fully constructed on the east, what is it? It is the southeast corner of Broadway and is it Redpath? Yeah, I think it's Redpath, Broadway and Redpath. And then across the street on Broadway is going to be there's like 3 buildings, I think, coming down, including the 2 that I lived at, to make way, I think, for one big condo, apartment, whatever. And then directly across from there, on the south side of Broadway, is another big hole in the ground. And the street is narrow. I mean, it can afford, you know, cars going in either direction, one lane, but you can't park there. There is no way. I mean, you could never park there, but there's no way. I don't even think that you could stop for a moment once all those high towers are in place. And it was always a quiet street. When I would leave for work in the morning, I would have to cross the street to get to the Eglinton subway, but I'd have to, you know, cross to the south. And I always looked, of course, both ways when I was crossing the street, but I never ever had to wait for a car, or a car never had to wait for me. That's how not busy it was. It's going to be a different scene 5 years from now when everything is built. And those apartments that are coming down are about 3-4 stories, 3 or 4, yeah, probably 4 stories. So I've taken pictures and I've taken a little video from behind, taken pictures from the front, and I have taken a video from behind. So behind the apartment buildings are other apartment buildings, but I just went to their, you know, parking area, outdoor parking area, and just because all there is that separates them is a chain link fence. So I'm quite sentimental. So I'm glad I have those videos, and I'm just thrilled that I have that piece of signage. And that sign, looking at it, like, that's from the 40s or 50s, maybe earlier. It's pretty windy. I hope that you're not getting too much wind noise. Now, this Mazda dealership, this used to be a Honda dealership. I pointed it out in my video just before this one. The Sicily Honda dealership used to be located here, but it was smaller. I'm pretty sure it was smaller than this. They're now right on Steeles, on the north side of Steeles. And this building certainly is not what it looked like 32 years ago. So we're coming up to Madawaska, and this is the street that I lived on for those initial 6 weeks. Go, go, go. Here, this where it says Dignity Memorial Funeral Homes. This used to be a little outdoor mall, I guess, like a strip mall. This did not exist. And there was a hardware store here, and, you know, other little shops along here, along Yonge. So the this funeral home did not exist. And then there was a fire. And then what was rebuilt was this funeral home. I think that was probably maybe 25 years ago. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little later, I'm not sure. And as I mentioned, this used to be a Honda dealership. And when my car was brought here, when I moved here, there was something wrong with the fan or something. Anyhow, the guy just that was working here was once the Sicily Honda dealership, just walked over across the street here to where I lived for 6 weeks. So I just am gonna walk by the house if I remember which house it was. People that lived there that I rented from are no longer there. They've all passed away. I think this was the house. Or was it this house? I think it was either this house or it was this house. Anyhow, it was one of those two houses. As soon as you get off Yonge Street, like there's Yonge Street right there. As soon as you get off Yonge Street, you come down these side streets, suddenly it's so quiet. And here again, similar to Hilda, which I walked down in my previous video, it's mostly single-family dwellings here. I don't see any condos or apartment buildings. I suspect if there were any apartment buildings, they probably would be low-rise. I hope you guys are enjoying the middle of the long weekend. It is perfect weather for a long weekend, but it'd be a lot better, I'm sure, for many people if they could, you know, head out to the water and be with family and friends at cottages, or just getting away for the long weekend. But soon, hopefully, soon. I'm noticing on Yonge Street, the Yonge and Eglinton neighborhood, Yonge and Davisville neighborhood, I guess, between Eglinton and Davisville. There's restaurants along that section of road where they're already starting to prepare for outdoor dining. So sign is good. We can start meeting up with the world again. Look at that big house amongst those two original homes. And I'm just going to scoot around this corner, and then I want to get out to Steele's. And then I'm going to hop in my car and get home. Look how nice it is in here. It's so quiet, so peaceful. I wanted to incorporate a little bit of busy and a little bit of quiet in both of my videos today. So my first video, we walked along Steele's, going west from Yonge, and then we went down Hilda, just quiet and residential, much like this. And then this video, of course, as you know, we're walking up busy Yonge Street, and then now we're doing a bit of quiet. Oh, look at these beautiful flowers. Oh, I thought they were real. They're not, but they're pretty all the same. Those red flowers. They almost look like poinsettias. That corner bungalow where the camera is angling. The grounds are well maintained, the home looks well maintained. It's a nice sized bungalow. That's the type of home I grew up in, so I have fond memories of these little bungalows. I'm sure at some point they're all one by one going to be torn down for something newer. Yeah, these are all new here. Well, that's not original. Now we're heading here towards Athabasca Avenue. Yeah, I can see Steeles from here. It's about 22:03 right now. And I started this video almost immediately after my last video. I just wanted to cross the street, and I also wanted to put my sun gloves on because my hands get sweaty in the heat, and then the gimbal, holding the gimbal gets sometimes precarious, so I don't want to drop it. Oh, isn't that cool? That, what is that? It's not an automatic. What is it called? Those little toy vehicles that are operated by... Oh, that's so cool. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. That's very cool. Yeah, that's really neat. Wow, hello there. Thank you. Have a great day. That was cool, huh? That was unexpected. It's very kind of him to bring his automated toy, I guess. It's not a toy. What is it? But this is the perfect neighborhood to do that in because hardly any traffic down here. You don't have to worry about maneuvering through cars or trying to avoid cars. Yeah, this is a good neighborhood for kids. Play, 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 play outside. And when I was a kid, we would go and adventure out from the home. You know, just like a couple of friends going out and by ourselves and going to parks and just exploring the neighborhood and neighborhoods beyond our home base without a care in the world. And back in those days, parents didn't have a care in the world either. Now, mind you, this was the 60s, so, well, yeah, 60s, yeah, late 60s. Oh, look at Spirea. You know, I thought about planting one of these because they're so incredibly beautiful. If I couldn't find the, I guess, first string of plants that I wanted, I was going to get spirea, and that would not have been a difficult choice, or it wouldn't have been difficult or a disappointment if I couldn't get the plants that I wanted initially. I would have been quite happy to have that spirea. Okay, here we are at Steele's. Now we are walking into the sun, and we are walking Steele's Avenue East because we're on the east side of Yonge. So here are apartment buildings, at least a apartment building. Maybe there's more behind. Oh, this looks like a bus station. A bus loop. That's what we used to call it, a bus loop. Because it is a loop. You don't see those much around. At least not where I normally travel. I'm in mid-Toronto, and you don't see this type of quiet residential really in Midtown. There's a lot of residential neighborhoods. They don't seem to be this quiet as they were where we just came from. And you wouldn't see a bus loop because that takes up too much space. Like a house could go there. I guess the bus loop would be Davisville. There's also like a bus loop on Mount Pleasant and Eglinton. I can't remember the last time I actually took a bus. Subway, I used to take quite a bit, but a bus, I don't remember the last time I took a bus. And here we are at Yonge. What a nice walk today. Thank you for joining me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. And either way, please consider subscribing. It'd be great to have you along. I love sharing these videos with you. It's a great time of year to be out. This is Boomer Girl walking at Yonge Street and Steele Street, or Steele's Avenue East. Signing off. Have a great rest of the long weekend, folks.